I never thought I'd be the kind of father standing on a porch, begging to see my own kids. But there I was, knocking on Elaine's door at exactly 3 p.m. like we'd agreed. My son's backpack was in my truck. I bought his favorite snacks. Everything was ready for our weekend together. Elaine opened the door halfway, her face cold and tight. "Caleb, you need to leave." I blinked. "What?" "It's my weekend. Where are the kids?" "They're not going anywhere with you." She crossed her arms. "You're unfit." The word hit me like a slap. Unfit? What are you talking about? Behind her, I saw Miriam, my wife, standing in the hallway. She wouldn't look at me. My son called out, "Dad?" But Elaine shifted to block my view. "Get off my property, Caleb. Now!" The door slammed. I stood there, frozen, my hand still raised to knock again. This wasn't a bad day. This was war. I called Miriam 17 times that night. Every call went to voicemail. I texted, asking what happened, begging for an explanation. Nothing. Then my phone buzzed. A message from Elaine. "Caleb, you are emotionally unstable and a danger to the children. Do not contact this family again. We will involve authorities if necessary." My hand shook reading it. Emotionally unstable? Danger? I'd never raised my voice to those kids. Never missed a school event. Never been anything but present. I realized what was happening. They were building a story, a narrative where I was a problem. I screenshot the message, saved it to 3 different places, then opened my voice recorder. It's Friday, April 12th. Elaine refused to let me see my children. She called me unfit. Miriam won't respond. Something is very wrong here. I had to start documenting everything. That night, I broke down. Alone in my apartment. I cried harder than I had in years. My kids were 20 minutes away, and I couldn't reach them. But I couldn't fall apart. Not now. I grabbed a notebook and wrote down everything that happened at Elaine's door. Every word, every expression, every detail. Then I called a family counselor I'd seen during the separation and scheduled an emergency appointment. "I need documentation that I'm stable," I told her voicemail. "I need proof that I'm not what they're saying I am." The counselor called back within an hour. We set a meeting for Monday morning. Before bed, I looked at the last photo I had of my kids. My daughter's gap-toothed smile. My son's messy hair. I whispered, "I'm coming for you. I promise." The counselor's first question on Monday was simple but devastating. "Has Elaine ever tried to isolate the children before?" I froze. The answer was yes. I started remembering things I'd ignored before. Little comments Elaine made. "The children are so much calmer when it's just us. Miriam doesn't need your interference. Maybe you should skip this birthday party, Caleb. Family only." She'd been training Miriam for years, slowly convincing her that I was optional, that her mother knew best. I scrolled through old messages and found one from Miriam, sent 4 months ago. "Mom thinks I rely on you too much. She says I need to be stronger." At the time, I thought it was just Miriam working through her feelings about our separation. Now I saw it differently. Elaine had been planting seeds, turning my wife against me, preparing for this moment. I forwarded the message to my counselor with a note. "This is part of a pattern." Then I started building a timeline. Every undermining comment, every canceled visit, every time Elaine inserted herself between me and my family. The pattern was undeniable. I needed supplies for a project, so I drove to the hardware store on Tuesday morning. The moment I walked in, I felt it. People staring, whispering. The cashier, someone I'd known for years, gave me a tight smile. "Hey, Caleb, heard you're, going through some stuff." I grabbed a box of screws. Just the usual separation mess. She nodded but wouldn't meet my eyes. At the lumber aisle, another regular customer stepped back when he saw me, like I was dangerous. Elaine had been talking, spreading her version of events, making me the villain before I could even defend myself. As I loaded wood into my truck, the store clerk caught up to me. She glanced around nervously, then whispered, "You should hear what she's saying at church." My stomach dropped. "What church?" "Valley Grace. She's been telling everyone you had some kind of breakdown." that the kids are scared of you. I drove home shaking with anger. But anger wouldn't help. I needed proof she was lying. Sunday morning, I put on my best shirt and drove to Valley Grace Community Church. I'd never been religious, but I needed to see what Elaine was doing. I sat in the back row, tried to be invisible. Elaine was in the third pew, surrounded by friends, nodding sympathetically as someone whispered to her. After the service, I stayed seated while people filed out. That's when June appeared. She was one of Elaine's oldest friends, someone I'd seen at every family gathering. She sat beside me, hands folded tightly. "Caleb, I need to talk to you." I waited. "Elaine is saying terrible things about you, but I've known you for years. You're not what she's describing." June glanced toward the door. "There's something else. Something she's not telling people." My pulse quickened. "What?" June leaned closer. "It involves your kids and her plans for them." She handed me her phone number. "Call me tonight." "Not here." I called June at exactly 8 p.m. She answered on the first ring. "Elaine has been bragging," June said quietly, "about revising her estate plan. She wants your children living with her full-time. Legally. Permanently." I gripped the phone. "Why?" "She wants to ensure her legacy. Her words, not mine. She's convinced Miriam that it's for the children's stability. But really it's about control." Everything clicked into place. The door slamming, the accusations, the isolation. This wasn't about protecting the kids. It was about ownership. "She's been telling people Miriam can't handle being a single mother," June continued, "that you're unreliable, that the children need her structure and financial support." "But that's not true," I said, my voice shaking. "Miriam and I were working things out. We had a custody plan." "I know, but Elaine doesn't care about truth. She cares about winning." After we hung up, I sat in the dark, processing everything. This wasn't personal. It was strategic, and I needed to be smarter. Monday morning, I met with a family attorney. Her name was Ms. Reyes, and she came highly recommended. I laid out everything: the blocked access, the accusations, Elaine's estate plan, the rumors spreading through town. Ms. Reyes listened carefully, taking notes. When I finished, she looked up. "You need to stay calm. Document every attempt to see your children. Save every message, every email, every interaction. Do not engage in arguments. Do not lose your temper." "What about Elaine's lies?" I asked. "She's building a case. But so are you." Ms. Reyes leaned forward. "The more desperate she gets, the more mistakes she'll make. Your job is to be the stable, reliable parent. Let her expose herself." I left her office with checklists, counseling documentation, character references, financial records, and a detailed parenting plan. "This is a marathon, not a sprint," she reminded me. "Stay focused." I nodded, but inside I was terrified. How long before I'd see my kids again? 3 weeks after Elaine slammed the door, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. "Dad." My daughter's voice was barely a whisper. "Sweetheart, are you okay?" "Where are you?" "School bathroom." "I only have a minute." She sounded scared. "Grandma told us you don't want us anymore." My heart shattered. "That's not true. I've been trying to see you every single day." She said you're sick, that you're not safe. I forced my voice to stay calm. "None of that is true. I love you and your brother more than anything. I'm fighting to see you right now." She sniffled. "Mom cries all night. Grandma won't let her talk to you." A teacher's voice echoed in the background. "I have to go," my daughter whispered. "I love you, Dad." The line went dead. I immediately called Ms. Reyes and forwarded her recording of the call. "This proves alienation," she said. "Keep documenting." That night, the school counselor left me a voicemail. "Mr. Caleb, I need to speak with you about your children." The school counselor, Ms. Patel, met me in her office Thursday afternoon. She looked concerned. "Your children have been showing signs of emotional distress," she began. "Your daughter has been withdrawn. Your son has had several behavioral incidents." I leaned forward. "What kind of incidents?" "Anger outbursts. crying. He told his teacher he's confused because Grandma says one thing and his heart says another. My hands clenched. Elaine is manipulating them. Ms. Patel nodded slowly. I've been documenting everything. The influence your mother-in-law has over this situation is concerning. Your children are caught in the middle. What can I do? Keep trying to see them. Keep being stable. And know that I'm required to file an internal report about this. It may trigger a larger review. I felt a flicker of hope. Will that help? It depends on what the review finds. But Caleb, she met my eyes. Your children know you love them. Don't give up. I left her office with tears in my eyes. Someone finally believed me. Ms. Patel's internal report reached the district office within a week. A family services caseworker contacted me shortly after. We received concerns about the children's emotional well-being, the caseworker explained. We'll be conducting interviews with all parties involved. Does that include Elaine? I asked. Yes, and your wife. For the first time in weeks, I felt something shift. This wasn't just me against Elaine anymore. There were professionals watching now. Ms. Reyes advised me to cooperate fully, answer every question honestly, and continue documenting everything. This is what we call a mandatory report intervention, she explained. Teachers and counselors are required to report emotional harm. Elaine can't control this narrative anymore. I hung up feeling cautiously optimistic, but I knew Elaine wouldn't go down without a fight. And I was right. 2 days later, she sent another message. You've now involved the school in a private family matter. This will only hurt the children further. Cease all interference immediately. I forwarded it to Ms. Reyes without responding. Let Elaine keep talking. Every word was evidence. I couldn't just sit around waiting. I needed to rebuild my life in a way that proved I was stable, capable, and present. I'd always been good with my hands. So I threw myself into my woodworking business. I built custom furniture, cutting boards, shelving units. Each piece was careful, deliberate, beautiful. Word spread. Orders came in. I hired a part-time assistant and rented a small workshop space downtown. One afternoon, a retired man walked in, examining my work closely. You made all of this, he asked. Yes, sir. He extended his hand. Arthur Langston. I'm looking for a dining table, something that'll last generations. We talked with types, designs, finishes. Arthur was thoughtful, kind, and clearly respected craftsmanship. When he left, he paused at the door. I'm retired from the bench. Family law judge. If you ever need advice, give me a call. He handed me his card. I stared at it, stunned. A judge just walked into my life. Maybe things were finally turning. Judge Langston invited me to his home workshop the following Saturday. He wanted to see the table in progress, but I suspected there was more to it. Over coffee, I told him everything. Elaine's control, Miriam's silence, the blocked access, the school's concerns. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he nodded slowly. You're doing everything right. Documentation, legal counsel, staying calm. That's exactly what you need. But it's been almost 2 months, I said, voice breaking. I haven't seen my kids. I know it's hard, but here's what I've learned in 30 years on the bench. People like Elaine always overplay their hand. She thinks she's untouchable. That arrogance will be her downfall. He leaned back. Be patient. Let her push further. When she does, she'll expose herself. And when that happens, you'll be ready. I left his workshop feeling stronger. I wasn't alone anymore. I had allies, professionals, evidence. Elaine's walls were starting to crack. Then Elaine made her biggest mistake yet. She sent me a long, detailed email. It was full of accusations, emotional abuse, financial instability, neglectful parenting. She claimed I had missed school events, forgotten birthdays, failed to provide adequate support. Every single claim was either exaggerated or completely false. And she put it all in writing. I forwarded it immediately to Ms. Reyes and Judge Langston. Judge Langston called me within an hour. Caleb, this email is gold. How? Because it's provably false. You have school attendance records, bank statements, photos from birthday parties. She just handed you a roadmap of lies. Any competent attorney will tear this apart. Ms. Reyes agreed. This is overconfidence. She thinks she's bulletproof. We'll use this in court. I read the email again, no longer feeling attacked. I felt relieved. Elaine had just given me the ammunition I needed. Let her keep talking. Every word dug her hole deeper. Late one night, my phone rang. Miriam. I answered immediately. Miriam? Caleb. Her voice was shaking. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. What's going on? Are you okay? She was crying. I don't know how this got so bad. Mom said she was helping. She said you were unstable. She said the kids needed protection. Miriam, none of that is true. You know me. I know. She sobbed. But she has all this control, Caleb. I can't just leave. I can't just take the kids and go. Why not? Because she'll destroy me. There was something she wasn't saying. Something bigger. Miriam, what is she holding over you? A long silence. Then, barely audible, everything. She controls everything. Before I could respond, I heard a door slam on her end. I have to go, she whispered. Please don't hate me. You don't know what she's holding over me. The line went dead. I saved the recording immediately. Miriam called again 2 days later. This time, she was calmer but still scared. Elaine controls my money, she said quietly. The trust fund my dad left me. She's the executor. She says if I let you see the kids, she'll freeze everything. I felt sick. That's financial abuse, Miriam. I know, but I don't have a job. I don't have savings. She even co-signed my car loan. If she pulls support, I'll have nothing. We can fight this. There are lawyers who specialize in this. She'll make it so ugly, Caleb. She'll drag the kids through court. She'll ruin both of us. I took a deep breath. Miriam, she's already doing that. She's already turned this into a war. The only way out is through. She didn't respond. I'm not asking you to choose between me and her. I continued. I'm asking you to choose yourself. And our kids. Another long silence. I'll think about it. After we hung up, I documented everything she'd said. Then I called Ms. Reyes. We need to file for an emergency custody review. Miriam just admitted Elaine is using financial coercion. I'll start the paperwork, she replied. The school's internal report officially escalated to a formal family services review. A caseworker was assigned to investigate the children's living situation, parental fitness, and any evidence of emotional harm. Elaine panicked. She called the school, demanding to know who filed the complaint. She sent angry emails to the district office. She even tried to have Ms. Patel removed from her position, but the wheels were already turning. The caseworker contacted me, Miriam, Elaine, and the children's teachers. Ms. Reyes coached me through every step. Be honest. Be calm. Show them you're the stable parent. A week later, the caseworker called. Mr. Caleb, we'd like to schedule a home visit. We need to see your living environment and discuss your parenting plan. Absolutely. When? Tomorrow afternoon. I hung up and immediately started cleaning. Not that my apartment was messy, but I wanted everything perfect. I organized my documentation, printed financial records, and prepared a written parenting plan. This was my chance to show them the truth. The caseworker arrived at 2 p.m. She was professional, thorough, and observant. She walked through my apartment, noting the clean space, the kids' bedrooms I prepared, the toys and books waiting for them. She asked about my work, my income, my support system. I showed her everything. Bank statements proving financial stability. Character references from Judge Langston, my boss, and neighbors. Counseling records showing I was emotionally healthy. Then I showed her my documentation. Every block visit. Every text from Elaine. The recording of my daughter's call. The email full of false accusations. The caseworker's expression shifted as she read. This is very detailed. I've been keeping records since the day Elaine blocked access. She closed the folder. Mr. Caleb, this doesn't match what Elaine told us at all. I stayed quiet, letting that sink in. We'll be interviewing her next week, she continued, and I'll be recommending a full custody review hearing. After she left, I called Ms. Reyes. She believed me. Good. Now we wait. Elaine's interview with the caseworker did not go well. According to Ms. Reyes, who received the report, Elaine became hostile and defensive. She talked over the caseworker, dismissed concerns, and made contradictory statements. At one point, she said, "I keep the children most days because Miriam can't handle them alone." The caseworker paused. "Could you repeat that?" Elaine realized her mistake too late. She just admitted to interfering with the custody arrangement. She tried to backtrack, but the damage was done. The caseworker noted her controlling behavior, lack of boundaries, and inconsistent statements. When the report was filed, it recommended a formal custody hearing. The court scheduled it for 6 weeks out. Elaine's lawyer called Ms. Reyes, trying to negotiate, but Ms. Reyes stood firm. "We'll see you in court." Miriam sent me a text that night. "Mom is furious. She says you've ruined everything. But, Caleb, I think you might have saved us." I read it 3 times before responding. "I'm just trying to bring our kids home." The custody hearing was scheduled for late June. The town buzzed with rumors. Elaine tried to rally support, but cracks were showing. People who once believed her were starting to ask questions. I kept working, kept documenting, kept building evidence. Judge Langston checked in regularly, offering advice and encouragement. Then, 2 weeks before the hearing, Miriam sent me a message. "Something big happened today. I need to see you." We met at a coffee shop on neutral ground. She looked exhausted but determined. "Elaine dropped something at the house," Miriam said, sliding a folder across the table. I found it before she could pick it up. I opened it. Inside were legal documents. Plans to relocate the children out of state. Applications for schools in another district. Even draft custody papers cutting me out entirely. She was going to move them? I asked, stunned. Miriam nodded, tears streaming down her face. She's been planning this for months. I didn't know, Caleb. I swear I didn't know. I believed her. "I'm done," Miriam whispered. "I'm testifying." Against her. Miriam's decision to testify changed everything. She met with Ms. Reyes and provided a full statement about Elaine's manipulation, financial control, and plans to relocate the children. She also admitted that she'd been scared, confused, and pressured into blocking my access. "I should have stood up to her sooner," Miriam said, voice shaking. "But I was terrified." Ms. Reyes was compassionate, but firm. "You're doing the right thing now. That's what matters." Miriam handed over the folder of documents. This proved she was planning to take them. Permanently. Ms. Reyes reviewed the papers, her expression darkening. "This is parental interference and attempted custodial kidnapping. We're adding this to our filing." The hearing was a week away. Elaine had no idea what was coming. Miriam looked at me across the conference table. "I'm sorry, Caleb, for all of it." "I know," I said. "Thank you for choosing them." She nodded, wiping her eyes. "Let's bring them home." The courtroom was tense. Elaine sat with her attorney, confident and composed. She didn't know Miriam had flipped. The judge, a stern woman named Judge Alvarez, reviewed the case files carefully. Then she called the first witness, Ms. Patel, the school counselor. Ms. Patel testified about the children's emotional distress, the concerning statements they'd made, and the pattern of interference she'd observed. Next, the caseworker testified about the home visits, Elaine's contradictions, and the documentation I provided. Then June, Elaine's former friend, took the stand. She testified about Elaine's estate plans and her bragging about controlling the children's future. Elaine's face turned red. Her attorney objected repeatedly, but the evidence kept piling up. Finally, Miriam was called. She walked to the stand, hands shaking. Under oath, she testified about everything. The financial control, the manipulation, the blocked access, the relocation plan. Elaine's attorney tried to discredit her, but Miriam held firm. "I was wrong to let this happen, but I'm telling the truth now." Judge Alvarez leaned forward. "I've heard enough." Judge Alvarez didn't hesitate. She awarded me primary custody of both children effective immediately. Miriam was granted supervised visitation until she completed counseling and demonstrated independence from Elaine. And Elaine? She was granted 0 custodial rights, 0 visitation, 0 contact unless approved by the court. This court finds that Elaine's interference constitutes emotional harm. Judge Alvarez said firmly, her attempts to alienate the children from their father are unacceptable. Her planned relocation without court approval is illegal. She will have no unsupervised access to these children. Elaine gasped, "You can't do this to me." "I just did," Judge Alvarez replied. "This hearing is adjourned." Elaine's attorney tried to argue, but it was over. Ms. Reyes squeezed my shoulder. "You did it." I couldn't speak. I just nodded, tears streaming down my face. Outside the courtroom, Miriam hugged me tightly. "Go get our kids." I drove straight to the school. Months later, life had settled into a beautiful rhythm. The kids were thriving. My daughter's smile was back. My son's anger had faded. One afternoon, Elaine appeared at my workshop. She looked older, smaller. Her confidence was gone. "Caleb, I'd like to talk." I set down my tools. "About what?" "I was hoping we could negotiate. Maybe I could see the children on holidays. Supervised, of course." I studied her face. No apology, no accountability. Just another attempt to regain control. "No," I said calmly. "But the court order stands. You had every chance to do the right thing. You chose power over family. That decision has consequences." Her face hardened. "You've turned my daughter against me." "No, Elaine, you did that yourself." She stared at me, realizing her influence was gone. Permanently. Without another word, she turned and left. I watched her go, feeling nothing but relief. I locked up the workshop and headed home to my kids. That evening, I cooked dinner with my children. My daughter set the table. My son stirred the pasta sauce, giggling when it splashed. We sat together, talking about their day, homework, friends, a school project on woodworking that my son wanted my help with. After dinner, my daughter hugged me tight. "Dad." "Yes, sweetheart. We always knew you'd come back for us." I held her close, tears stinging my eyes. I never stopped fighting. Later, after they were asleep, I sat on the porch with a cup of coffee. I thought about the long battle, the documentation, the patience, the allies who believed in me. I'd won without rage, without sabotage, without breaking the law. I'd won by being exactly what my children needed. Present, stable, and relentless. Judge Langston's words echoed in my mind. Let her expose herself. And she had. I pulled out my phone and texted Ms. Reyes, "Thank you for everything." Her response came quickly. "You did the hard part. Enjoy your family." I looked up at the stars, feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Peace.